Oh, hello. Welcome to Dawn's Diner. How many are in your party today? Oh, just two? Right this way. I've got this really nice table by the window. How does this look? Okay. There we go. I'm gonna go grab some drinks and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is clearly just a test run of my new enterprise idea. I thought I would start on a small scale before I expanded into other markets. So actually, if you would be willing to provide some feedback, I'll show you how I very intentionally set up the kitchen and the restaurant area for efficiency. Because if we're gonna be serving a lot of meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, day in and day out, we need to have this space working really well for us, right? Okay, so I also have this put together in a kitchen efficiency printable checklist. So if that would be helpful for you to use in your own kitchen, you can find that down below. But why don't we go through some of these things that I've really been intentionally trying to keep in mind as I'm setting up this kitchen for ultimate efficiency. Oh, and don't let me forget to tell you about a fascinating study with a bowl of cookies and a messy kitchen and what we learned from it. And we might get interrupted by the health inspector. I'm kind of expecting him to stop by today. Now, I do want you to know that I am qualified to start a restaurant because I have worked in a couple restaurants in the past. So in my younger years, when I was working through college and a young adult, I worked at both the Olive Garden and Applebee's. I did not like having to wear a button-up shirt and tie to work, and so I eventually left the Olive Garden and went to Applebee's, where it was much more casual and more enjoyable. But something that has always stuck with me, especially as I have worked to simplify my own kitchen at our home, was how those kitchens were set up for efficiency. So let's go through some of the items on this checklist together, because we all need really high efficient kitchens, whether you're starting a home business or not. Okay, so number one, the counters need to be super easy to wipe down. And so if you saw our house hushing video last week, you actually saw me take everything out of our kitchen and be very intentional about the things that we put back. And so I prioritize counters that are cleared off because they are super easy to clean off at the end of the night. When I worked as a server, at the end of the night, if you were one of the last ones, you had to do all the final cleanup and get the kitchen ready for the next day. You wanted it to be quick and easy to pull it back together. So all of the surfaces were clear. It was really easy to wipe everything down and leave it reset for the next day. So I have intentionally tried to move everything possible off of our kitchen counters. And then you also notice that same ease with the things that are placed on the tables. So it's not uncommon to have some kind of caddy or some kind of container for the items on there, because you want it to be super easy to wipe down. So I can literally just lift up the caddy, wipe everything down, put it back, and voila, it is ready for the next guest. So prioritizing ease of cleaning and keeping a space clean over decorative pieces. There's not even like a placemat, a table runner. If you are in a season of life where you need your kitchen to be super efficient, then we might want to minimize the stuff that we have sitting out. But understand, this can just be a season. Maybe down the road, you'll get to a spot where you can have more decor and more decorative things, and that'll function well. But for right now, be aware of what kind of season that you're in. Now, another thing you'll notice in a highly efficient kitchen is that everything is located nearest to where you use it. So your cooking utensils and your knives and anything else that you're using in the stove area, it's all within easy reach. And I don't know if this is like this in most restaurants, but there was always in the kitchen, you'd have the cooks, and they literally did not leave their spot, right? Like everything was there within their reach. But then you'd also, on the other side, you'd have like an expo person. I don't know. If you're familiar, tell me if this was your experience too or not. So then there was an expo person, and they would take the plate and they would put on any like garnishes. If someone asked for like a side of ranch or something else, they're the ones that are supposed to put it on. And then from there, it's ready for people to go deliver the food. But again, everything was within reach of what they needed. And so they could very quickly get everything ready, and they weren't searching for a lot of different things. But how do we get to a point where our kitchen's not cluttered? We can very easily get to what we need. There's another important piece of this kitchen puzzle. Let's talk about the menu. So whenever you go to a restaurant, they have a very standard offering that really doesn't change much, with the exception of some seasonal specials, right? So it doesn't mean that you can't ever deviate from the set menu, but if there are sales on food or some seasonal favorites, you work those into specials. They're offered occasionally, often they're offered until the item runs out, but you still get a little flexibility with the specials. But 95% of the time, it's a very standard offering. And by having a limited menu with a standard offering, then that means that your pantry can become very standard as well. This means when I go to order groceries, my grocery order is pretty much the same week in and week out. I don't end up with weird foods in my pantry or fridge, and we have been able to significantly cut down our food waste by having a set menu that pretty much just rotates through every couple weeks, and then that's it. And then we start over again. And again, when I worked in restaurants, it was always amazing when you would walk into the pantry or into the fridge or freezer where everything was stored. Everything had a set place and it was always in its place. It was very easy to take inventory, to see what was there, what the managers needed to order. If someone said, hey, can you go grab another thing of ranch? You'd go to the walk-in freezer, you knew exactly where to find it. And that made the kitchen function so efficiently. Now, many of us like to have variety. We like to try new things, but again, recognize the season that you're in. We're in just a very busy season of life. It is what it is. So I keep our menu limited, which allows me to have a very standard pantry, and all of the recipes, I could make these in my sleep. Just like the cooks on the line, they knew these recipes inside and out. So right now my priority is efficiency, but that doesn't mean that it might not change down the road. Oh, and real quick, I want to let you know about a Minimalism Masterclass that I'm leading with Zoe Kim from Raising Is Simple. It begins on April 6th and it's a live workshop. We're going to declutter and simplify together. Over the years, I found that body doubling is the most effective tactic for reaching your decluttering goals. It's where we work alongside each other. Many of us need a date on the calendar, a time to show up, and a supportive community behind us. So this masterclass is unique in that it's 6 hours spread across 2 weekends. So you can fully declutter one area in your home. Don't worry if you can't join us live for all of the sessions. Replays are available. You will not believe the amount of decluttering and work that you can get done in these concentrated hours. So I'm going to put all the details down below and I really hope to see you there. Okay, next let's talk about kitchen gadgets. I'm not sure if I should wave around knives on the internet, but so what was always fascinating to me as well in the restaurant environment was that they didn't use gadgets. Most chefs, trained chefs, they just need a good knife and a good cutting board and they can do almost anything. Now, gadgets have their place. If you have a kitchen gadget that works really well for you and that you love, keep it, use it, that's awesome. But so often we acquire these things that are supposed to make our lives easier and we don't end up using them. A lot of times the time it takes to clean these gadgets outweighs the benefit that they add. So take a pass around your kitchen and look for anything that you're clearly not using. I know if we spent money on it, it can be hard to let it go, but we want to free up space in our kitchen. That's what helps to make it efficient. And like we were talking before, that's what makes it so you can store everything right where we use it. I can put pot holders here and utensils here. Everything is within reach. It's super easy to get to and everything has a clear assigned home. And when everything has a home, then you can also let your family know where that home is too. So everyone in your home can clean up the kitchen and put everything away where it goes. Okay, now let's talk about this bowl of cookies because this is fascinating. Wait, one sec, I think someone's at the door. Now, I'll be honest, in the past, it used to always make me nervous when the health inspector came. You know, maybe you don't have health inspectors coming to your kitchen, but maybe a mom or mother-in-law or other family member that seems to notice things. So these days, I pretty much always pass with flying colors because my kitchen is so easy to keep clean. And like I said, we have that limited menu, which keeps our fridge and pantry items really limited. I never had food going bad. And so really, I don't get too nervous when he stops by. And good news, we did pass our inspection and Dawn's Diner is safe to eat at. But let's get back to talking about this bowl of cookies because it's really interesting. Okay, so we have known for a while that clutter increases stress hormones. It's very hard for us to feel at ease and settled in a space that is cluttered up and messy. And now we have even more research to support this. So a new Cornell study explored how a noisy, disruptive, and disorganized environment influences how much women eat. So researchers at the Cornell Food and Brand Lab found the combination of stress and a messy environment leads to more snacking and an increase in the number of calories consumed. We found the more cluttered and confusing an environment was, the more people ate. It made them anxious, and when they got anxious, they ended up eating more cookies. So they took a group of 100 women, and half of the women got to be in a clean kitchen, and the other half were in a messy one. And then they put food out and asked them to do a task. Well, the women that were in the messy kitchen ate almost twice as many cookies as those who were in the cleaner one. And honestly, this didn't really surprise me when I heard it. We know clutter is stressful. It makes us feel a little bit off, or sometimes I feel entitled as well. But here's what's fascinating. While one solution to this is to get your house in order, they also found that after writing about a time when they felt more organized and in control of their lives, women ate about 50% fewer snacks than those who were stressed. So while yes, we're all working to bring our environment into order, to have it be less stress, which might help with some of our snacking habits too, I thought it was also fascinating that we could think back to times when our space was more organized and we did feel more in control, and that can help as well. So until you can get your house fully decluttered, you can just sit around and think about those times when you felt in control. So I don't know, I'd be curious to know, do you find that you stress eat more when you're in a cluttered environment? And do you think imagining times when you were in more control, if that would actually help or not? All right, a few more things on our list to get through. And if you're a business owner, you know that's something we have to be very aware of are Google reviews. I mean, if you get bad reviews, it can tank your entire business. So we always want to make sure we're offering a super friendly service. And kind of like the cookie experiment, when we're stressed or when we're in a stressful environment, we eat more cookies. I also find that it's sometimes harder to give service with a smile when my kitchen is super messy. So by keeping my kitchen tidy and streamlined, I feel like I'm giving better service to everyone who visits as well. Okay, so there you have it. All of the reasons that it might be worth making your kitchen more simplified and more efficient, whether you're starting a restaurant in your home or not. But in all seriousness, I really feel like as we have highly simplified and decluttered our kitchen, not only do I enjoy cooking more, but it is so much easier to keep clean, and it's also easier to involve our family. So when you're hiring new kitchen staff, it's easier to train them in, get them integrated. They know where to put everything away. And most of us as parents, we want to include our family. We want them to help more and cook more and clean up more. But in a messy space, it's really difficult because it's messier in the beginning when you have new chefs training in. And so we need to have the bandwidth and the capacity to give them that space and allow them to do that. But again, I think having the kitchen highly simplified makes it a lot easier. We eat less cookies, we get better reviews, we don't have to worry about health inspections. Everything is so much easier in a highly simplified kitchen. And I have to tell you the truth, as I was creating this and coming up with all of this, I thought, oh my goodness, I would love to have something like this where you and I could just sit and we could have a cup of coffee and visit, and we could talk about decluttering, but we could talk about other things too. So I probably won't start a diner, but I don't know. The wheels are turning. Would you come to it? Would you come to maybe a coffee shop? Food is a little overwhelming to me. Maybe we could create a coffee shop or something like that, right? But just so you know, I wish you lived closer. I wish we could spend more time together, and it just made me think of that as I was working on this. So like I said, I'm going to put that link to that printable down below. I would love to know your own experience, whether it's working in a restaurant world and how you saw those kitchens function, or your experience with simplifying your own kitchen. When you share your stories down below, it's so encouraging and inspiring to others who read the comments as well. And if you haven't done so, would you mind subscribing? As our subscriber count grows, we're able to reach more women, and that is my goal, right? Everyone deserves to have a highly simplified and happy kitchen too, right? We never want to be grouchy when we're in the kitchen. All right, well, I love you. I hope you have a really good day, and I'll see you again soon. Oh, and I'm sure you weren't gonna leave without this, right? You can pay at the counter when you're done.